Today is April the 30th, 2025. This is Carmen bringing you your daily Bloodborne Remaster update. No news on the Bloodborne Remaster day, no news on the emulator. We don't have any Souls news or anything to go over. In terms of gaming news, Lost Soul Aside has been delayed by about 3 months. Rather than launching on May the 30th, it is going to launch on August 29th. I disagree with the 29th as a release date for this because that's like one day after the Metal Gear remake. Granted, they're very, very different audiences, but still, I wouldn't have done that. Let's see here. Sony, I believe, did a state of play for Borderlands 4. It's very, very weird they would do one for that when they've got their own, major first-party release in I don't know, 5 months, and they haven't really shown anything significant. Rather, they've shown a lot of clips of the protagonist riding through fields on the horse, but they haven't really shown anything significant. So yeah, let's see here. I've been making my way through Expedition 33. I still think this game is absolutely incredible. However, I will say I am starting to have a couple of just little gripes with it. No major issues, really. I will say that Act 1 of Expedition 33 is one of the most incredible things ever. Act 1 is just... Act 1 of Expedition 33 is the best video game I've ever played. Act 2 is definitely still good. It's still great. It's still fantastic, but it's not as interesting. You're doing a lot less new stuff in Act 2 so far, and I would say I have a few issues, none of which are really massive. One of them is I think the dialogue at this point is kind of sometimes it's kind of stilted and unnatural, kind of unrealistic. It's kind of, I guess if you really like JRPGs, then it's probably not going to bother you too bad. For me, part of the reason I don't play many JRPGs is because the dialogue always bothers me, and the dialogue in this is getting a little bit too JRPG for my liking. But it's not, it doesn't happen very often. It happens on occasion. Another issue I have with this game right now is the menus are just, if I had to describe them in one word, clutter. It is just clutter. They need to be completely thrown out and reworked. The menus of this game are absolutely terrible. I accidentally unequipped a Pictos from one of the characters, and I looked through the Pictos menu 4 times, and I just happened to overlook it every single time. Never found it. I said, you know what? I don't need it anyway. We'll just forget about it. I'll run without it because it's too annoying to look through it one at a time, and if you miss it, God help you, because there's 100 Pictos you're going to pick up. So I would say that the menus are just, they're trash, they're just clutter, complete and utter clutter, yeah. They need to be thrown out and redone completely. I don't think it's terrible. So for another couple of issues, one thing is this game does not have a retry button, and this is kind of annoying because the mini games sometimes are a bit brutal, like the volleyball one, and sometimes in combat you're just going to get absolutely blasted, and if you haven't picked up anything or the game hasn't had a reason to autosave anytime soon, sometimes, and if you're in the world map, you'll just have to swim halfway across the map to try that enemy again because there's no retry button after combat. It's a slight hindrance, but you really need to add one. If you're gonna hand the player his ass so many times in a row, you need to have a retry button. And another issue is I don't think this game is particularly difficult, definitely not if you stay on the main path. I do think, however, that Expedition 33 does lean a bit too heavy into its action elements. A big part of this game's marketing was that the game is a mix of is turn-based combat with some action elements into it, kind of like the exact opposite of how FF7 Remake is an action system with turn-based elements. But the thing is, while I feel like FF7 Remake leans into its turn-based elements just enough to, really give it that extra twist, I feel like Expedition 33 kind of has a tendency to lean a bit too heavy into action. Now, granted, this is, I've seen a lot of people who just, all right, I'm going to try and only parry this boss, and if I die 25 times, then I die 25 times. I'm not going to try and dodge anything. I disagree with this. Just try and dodge. It'll save you some time. But even still, sometimes you got to dodge, 11 hits in a row or something like that. Come on. I think that at some point you kind of need to like lean more into just being a turn-based game. I'm not saying that the game should have abandoned its action elements, because it's a really great twist on this combat system, but I do think that it leans a bit too heavy into the action elements, and I kind of disagree with it at times. Again, it's not terrible. Expedition 33 has been excellent. I don't want to make it seem like I'm hating on this game. I just have had a few gripes that have cropped up just today. So that's everything I've got right now. I don't like some of the voice acting is phenomenal, by the way. Let me not say that. The voice acting is phenomenal. I just don't like some of the dialogue. I think that the menus are just pure clutter. They need to be thrown out entirely. There's no retry button, and I think the game sometimes has a tendency to lean a little bit too heavily onto its action elements, but we'll see. Maybe all that'll change later on. Still a great game. I highly encourage you to check this out. I'm gonna say that, like, unless the industry is like completely required to give GTA 6 Game of the Year, I don't see how GTA 6 beats this. Because at the end of the day, GTA 6, it's probably not going to be that special. I'm going to be honest with you. So I don't see how GTA 6 would beat this in like pretty much any category. If anything, this might sweep every other category, and then GTA 6 wins Game of the Year, kind of like what happened with Red Dead 2 and God of War. So we'll see. Anyways, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. No news on the Bloodborne Remaster today, but a long rant about Claire Obscure. That's been your daily Bloodborne Remaster update for, what day is it? April 30th, 2025.